The Speakers Bank Podcast. Our voices, our views.
The speakers, first is Storm Robbins, and he'll tell you a little bit about his story later on. Doing his techie thingy is Nathan Slactor, and then Catherine is on the other side of the panel. So I'll give all the airtime to them now while I support them with a video recording. And before they begin, I also have my other volunteers here today. Nikita, our student intern from Victoria University, and Maki Lakatani, who's gonna, she'll be it. All right, guys, take it away. Yeah.
All right, since we can't get the Wi-Fi going, let's just do this on record. So guys, welcome to the speaker. Sorry, I'll start that again. Just give me a second. Hello and welcome to the Speakers Bank podcast. This is the official launch of Speakers Bank's podcast. So today we're going to be talking about what gives life meaning and purpose, and we're going to go around the table today, and we're going to talk about what ultimately gives our lives meaning and purpose. And today I'm with Catherine on my right and Storm on my left. So Storm, I'd like to start with you.
Yep.
A good life is one that we can obviously live happily and healthily. Can you tell me a bit about your understanding of how the body works?
Well, first of all, I'll give you a bit of background of where I've come from and what my disability actually is. So I was born in Thailand in 1990. I was 2 months premature and I suffered a condition called cerebral palsy. And as much as Thailand was a great country and great people, they just didn't have the services or the equipment to help with my condition. So I moved to Australia for a better quality of life. And ever since then, I've been an advocate for physical health and mental health. When I'm talking about physical health, I'm talking about eating properly, and having a good diet. I'm also talking about keeping fit and active. So you do gym and all that sort of stuff. And the mental side of it is coping with society. Because as people with special needs, you do get bullied a lot. I know a lot of people in the room probably have been bullied at one stage or another. And I've come up with techniques and ideas on how I cope with it, and hopefully some of you guys can learn from my experience and learn how to cope with being bullied or being invisible in society, and how to be invisible in society. So,
In other words, visible.
yeah, in other words, visible. So my understanding is pretty much you need to understand what your condition is, how it works, and then come up with a plan to modify whatever your disability needs. For example, my program is the Healthy Getting Fit Lifestyle program, and that involves eating the right diet, fruit, vegetables, daily, because you need to be active not just in here but in here. So that helps with my condition as well. You need to also understand that your body needs to be worked if able to, because there's some people with special needs that cannot actually work their body, but for me I can. So to improve my cerebral palsy, because my muscles used to be so weak, I have to strengthen them up. Because for example, from a computer, I downloaded a file from the computer. My body is not 100%. It'll probably get to 90 or 50 and it'll stop. So to increase the chances of getting your maximum output from your body, you need to do exercise. In my case, to make it as close to 100% as possible to get the maximum output in your everyday life. So I do that probably once or twice a week to strengthen those muscles. Some of the machines I use are abs to leg press, shoulder press and all that sort of stuff. And yeah, I pretty much do all that. And I also do physiotherapy and all that sort of stuff. But the main thing is physiotherapy does help, but you also need to help yourself and also monitor your own body, because after when you turn 18, they don't really help you in terms of monitoring your body. And that's where I've designed this gym program to help me control my body and what it actually does. Because when you get older, your body gets sore and you get more problems in life. So to prevent those problems down the track, you do your exercise and you have a healthy diet.
And you know, I love your internet analogy too, because clearly if your body was internet, you'd be Telstra.
Exactly. I think all our bodies would be Telstra, but it's about getting the maximum output in your everyday life. And I believe every person with a disability has the ability to get the maximum output. They just need to be confident, be positive, and have an attitude of saying, you know what, I'm probably only 40% now, but in a year's time, if I work my butt off, I can get to 90 or close to 100% as possible. But you need to come up with an ideal plan to suit your disability.
Catherine, can you tell me a bit about what gives your life meaning and what your life looks like at the moment?
My life looks like normal at this stage, but I'll tell you a bit about myself back from when I was a child.
Yep.
I went through, person with a mild disability went through mainstream and had an integration aid all the way through, and the support was great. I did a lot of things for my integration aid, not as much as with my classmates as I was in a mainstream school. So the work in the class wasn't kind of catered for my needs. So I did a different program, more bit of life skills. So I got to go to our local hospital and meet new mums and bubs, and that was good. And I used to go and get their paper, make cups of tea. For my maths, I would go with my integration aid into the street, doing a bit of shopping and make lunches for the teachers. That will help me how to give money. Take money and work out the change of what to give back. So that was kind of a maths kind of structure for me.
Gee, if only I'd become a teacher at your school. Free lunch every day.
So it was good. But in the terms of social is the strength, but connecting with a group of friends was kind of not much the same, because I didn't really fit into some categories of friends. I had some kind of friends, but at school. But a lot of the time at school I was bullied, which is quite sadly common in people with needs, that they get disincluded, basically. When I was at school, I would want to want to invite friends, like people would invite to a birthday party. But on that coming towards me, I wouldn't be invited to theirs. But as time's gone on into coming into adulthood, it's gotten stronger to the point where because my needs are so mild, there's a way of connecting with things and finding the right connection for me to connect with. So I worked at UCAN, which is UCAN Cafe, that was run by Urella. I'd done that for 2 years, and unfortunately it closed. So I did my before then, I did a Certificate 3 in childcare, so I'm qualified as a childcare worker. But getting the job wasn't as simple, because the learning process is like planning for the kids or all that, and following instructions is kind of tricky. Like, I wouldn't be able to do the theory. It'd be just too much information for me to process in my own Yeah. But working with the kids was fine, but as to get a job, it wasn't as easy. Anyway, but I do still connect with kids privately and connect with the parents where I build trust and relationships with. Around my neighbourhood, which I really enjoy. I've got some great families I'm connected with, which is nice. I also connected with my church, which has a nice young adult social group I'm involved with. We do a lot of activities. And then I'm always included in like birthday parties, to weddings, to engagement parties, to, as like a normal person would. But if I didn't connect with that group, then it would be like I was at primary school, which I've gotten to the point to seeing me, not me as the person with the disability. Seeing me is just a normal person that's connecting with people and feeling included and all that kind of stuff, which it should be. And also working with Speakers Bank is great because it was one of the best, which I found Speakers Bank through a friend who also works with the Nectar. She said, this will be perfect for you because you are a great speaker and how to present yourself as who you are, not what you are. And so that's a strength that I'm following. So Nectar is one of the best organisations I've been with so far, which caters for my needs. Because every organisation is different and they cater for depending on what your needs and where you want to be connected. And basically with these groups I kind of found the person I am and finding trust in myself and faith. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
That's really good, and I like what you said about the whole inclusion thing, because I was just thinking, the reality is that you talk about being normal. Well, the reality is what is normal, because there's no definitive definition of it. I'm certainly not normal, especially in the head.
It's just. I think the reason why we have this. I think the reason why we have this debate of what is normal is because of what society thinks that's what is normal. And if society thinks that's a little bit different, then that's not normal. Society thinks everything has to be the same, but if there's something a little bit different, a little bit unusual that I don't see every day, that's not considered normal, but it actually is normal, because everybody's normal in their own way.
Okay, so now we're down to me. And this is the part where everybody shuts their eyes and goes to sleep.
I wouldn't say that.
So basically, I'm a Christian. I'm from Planet Shakers. I've gotten a lot of my morals and the things that I hold to through my faith. It's been a core pillar or centre to my life, if that's what you like. A lot of what I feel actually called to is not so much ministry stuff, but rather actually being in radio and television. So if anyone from the project is watching, please hire me. I need the money. Other than obviously this, which I'm dragged into with fingernails across the floor. I do some work with the Student Youth Network, which some of you guys might know, which is down in Carlton. They also do some television as well, which you might know if you watch 1700. I don't work on that program because I do have a face for radio. You could have laughed at that. That would have been fine. So Sin helps me, and I would recommend this to anyone under 25. Sin helps me by allowing me to basically build my self-confidence. So when I first started in radio, I had basically no training, no idea what I was doing, and after a few weeks of stumbling and bumbling my way through, kind of like I'm doing at the launch here now, I kind of just, found my feet and realised that, hey, I can actually be funny.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you. And to be honest with you, I wrote nothing, so everything you hear is literally off the top of my head. So the other thing I do through SYN, and this is if you wake up early enough to not see the sun, I work on Get Cereal for half a year, which is SYN 90.7's flagship breakfast show. I do that on a Wednesday predominantly. So basically, that's really good because if you think about like a lot of the commercial breakfast shows, like Jason PJ and Fifi and Fev and Byron, it kind of gives you that whole idea of an average morning of breakfast radio. In fact, to be honest with you, as much as I enjoy doing it, I can honestly tell you, and I'll take the time to tell you a very quick story. I love it so much. I actually stayed up all night one night to prepare and get things done. And I don't know who I was interviewing. It might have been Gretel Colleen or John Deeks. I don't remember who it was. But I actually fell asleep during the interview on air. So just to give you a quick illustration, I'm sitting here at the desk. My anchor's on the other side, and I've just done this. You know when you micro sleep? I've done the whole. And he literally, I kid you not, he had to hit the dump button just in case I went.
It's so funny.
Too many good times. Half of them I don't remember. So, speaking of laughs, what does a good life look like to you guys?
Well, we know one thing, you're going to be a social media star, so there'll be no problem with that. You'll have a good life there. For me, the Speakers Bank gave me the opportunity to, as I said before, express my two passions in life. Healthy eating and mental health for people with a disability. So that's the reason why I joined Speakers Bank, because there wasn't too many organisations out there that gave me a purpose to work on my strength, which is public speaking, because I enjoy public speaking. But it gave me another purpose in doing what I love doing, and that's advocacy work for people with disabilities. Because unfortunately, when I was trying to get a job, they didn't want to hire the disability person, they wanted to hire the able body. But it's kind of really sad because I felt like I had more qualifications than the able-bodied person, but that doesn't really matter because the organisations, they don't see the benefits of people with a disability working in their workplace. They just see the negatives. But I think the positives clearly outweigh the negatives. So I encourage any organisation out there today to give a person with a disability a go and see how they do, because I guarantee you they will work 120% harder than an able-bodied person just to prove their worth to your organisation.
That's it.
I think with the organisations in these days, they're including more people with kind of needs that want to get up that way. And I also, for me, being a musician myself is a strength. And I'm connected with the Newport Folk and Fiddle, and I feel that it's just making me stronger and build on in the community and work teaching people this is who I am. Yes, I have needs, mild needs, but I can surely do so much to prove the person that, and help show people how it's done and teach people that help people how to work on people's needs, because everybody's individual, no one's perfect, and
I'm close.
We know that.
I'm not perfect. I'm not, no one's perfect. Everybody's different. So people need to be included in different ways, in every way, whatever, and just, respect each other, basically.
I have a question. What musical instruments do you play?
I play the violin. Yeah, cool. My main instrument.
Which type of violin do you play? Any brand?
I do country. a lot of the time. And I just started going back into classical.
Oh.
So I think for me, like, because I suppose, to be honest with you, when I first started at Speakers Bank, or even back before then, so I started in about May 2014, and I had, to be honest with you, I had absolutely no desire to do any public speaking. In fact, I was probably the last person you'd pick to do it. I was the kind of person that would get up, to do a school presentation, and I would shake, with absolute fear.
I'm the opposite. I'll do it any day.
Seems like you like doing it too.
Oh no, really? No, so I suppose my point is I actually fell into Speakers Bank by accident. I was literally at a church conference and this guy was next to me in a wheelchair and he said, "Have you heard of Speakers Bank?" I'm like, "No." And he put me onto Mimi and we really just got the ball rolling. With a lot of things, and in fact, at that stage, I wasn't even involved with SIN. So I literally, when I moved to the city, I had a year where I had no idea what I wanted to do because for a long time, even from when I was in high school, I actually wanted to do. I had no desire for comedy and entertainment. I actually wanted to do welfare coordination, and I got to the stage where I passed. Just to give you a quick backstory, I passed my BCE. Because I just wanted to pass, and they said, "Oh, you can do all these, pathway courses to get into it." And I went through to another university for a cert for in youth community work. And I'll be honest with you, I won't say what the university who the university was, but let's just say the interviewer was quite rude, and I literally walked away, and I went, this is not for me. And I did a couple of pathway courses and then I woke up one day and I went, you know what, comedy's for me.
Yeah. Yes, I agree.
And a lot of I find that even a lot of pastors that give serious messages often say the best method is to, if you've got a serious message, like a lot of mine is about cruelty and judgment. So what I find is you give someone a spoonful of sugar, and it helps the medicine go down, rather than just jamming it down their throats. So if you guys have got any questions to ask any of us, or you want to tie me up in the corner and start interrogating me, please do.
I like what you all said about what's normal and all that. I had a teacher at TAFE who would regularly say this. She'd use this expression on her class. And I just wish I had heard it through high school. It's normal to be different.
Yeah.
And I got that far through to me that every time I hear the word normal, that saying comes to mind.
Yeah.
And you were talking about planet shakers before. You should have come here yesterday. Chloe Hayden, when she was doing the presentation, and she goes by the name of Princess Aspian, because her family is also Christian, and her dad's actually a pastor at Planet Shakers.
Yeah, I've actually got her on Facebook somewhere.
Yeah,
I think she's done some stuff for Neighbours as well.
Yeah, she has.
Yeah, stuff like that. I mean, yeah.
I have a question. I don't want to be rude, but how these two have said about their life and their disability, I haven't really heard you saying about yours.
Mine?
Like him.
Oh, sure. So
I didn't know if you wanted to say it, but I thought,
no,
well, I'd like to know.
No, of course. I'm more than happy to explain that to you. So basically, I've got, I would say, somewhat, I'd say, what do you think, Storm? Somewhat similar to your?
We could be Gemini twins, we don't know.
Oh, I hope not. Oops, I said it out loud. No, so I've got what they call moderate, like a moderate severe form of cerebral palsy. So that basically means that all the muscles below my waist don't function properly. So that includes a tight bladder, which basically just means that I need to pee frequently, which is absolute pain in winter because my bladder is absolutely irritable.
I know what that's like.
Yeah, I bet you do. The other thing, you're not helping, Storm. The other thing is I have a lot of trouble walking long distance, and in fact, as I've gotten older, you I'll actually wheel out from under the desk. Just give me a second. This is kind of fun. I feel like I'm paddling. So I don't know if you can see it, but I'll spin around till actually if we change positions. This is fun for the podcast. I'll show you. So
This
these
is what live
are
podcast is
the
all
only
about.
reason I don't feel excruciating pain as I get older when I walk, because my knees are actually bent. So if I start walking without these AFOs on, it will kill.
Yes, and I've also got my own pair as well. So every person with cerebral palsy usually has a pair of these special gadgets. So
And they do help?
Yeah,
they
so
do help.
well, that's kind of an old, more I'd say an older style pair of AFOs, but mine were actually custom designed to the point where they actually had to put carbon rods in the back. And the actual funny thing is, because St Vincent's worked with me for 2, maybe 3 years to try and design my shoes right so that I could put all these on myself, even the socks that I'm wearing are specialty socks and stuff like that. And they actually had to design these AFOs right from the ground up, so only I can actually wear these.
And how long do you wear those?
So I only wear these, I only wear basically these when I'm out.
Is it
So
when you were young? Or?
did I wear AFOs when I was young?
Yeah.
Oh yes. And in
How
fact,
old were you?
so I would have worn my first pair of AFOs when I was probably 1. Very, very tiny AFOs, and back in I say back in the old days now. I feel old now that I'm 25. So back in the early 90s, they obviously had you guys probably seen them before, the plastic AFOs, and they've got the holes in the back.
Yes.
I hated those because they used to rub and they used to hurt, so my feet would go red.
And the sweat as well. The sweat.
And so what used to happen in those days is you'd go in every 6 to 12 months to have them stretched, or you get a new pair. And I hated it as a kid. And I even hated, hip braces and stuff like that, because I had to wear those as well, and I hated it because they used to rub. But the funny thing is, now that I'm an adult, and this is a running joke that I have at St Vincent's, is that now that I actually want to wear now that I became an adult and wanted to wear my AFOs for a while, I actually couldn't. And now I'd wear them all the time if I could. In fact, I'm about to head up to the Gold Coast for some personal business in about a week or so, and I'm going to be wearing these constantly. So, yeah, it's good.
Maybe you should go into the fashion industry and make these sorts of things.
Well, for mine, I've got a tag.
I'll leave that to the women in my life.
Something to be sort of. You could make designer ones.
Yeah, no, I think I'll leave that to my sister and stuff like that.
Do you have any information or anything about your sleep and spank? Information.
Yeah, no, you go.
Or
We do have a website.
card or something.
That's on the board there.
Okay.
That gives you a list of all the information about the speakers and what we're doing and what's our calendar looking like.
Okay.
If you want us to come and talk to your community about our disability and try to educate your people with disabilities as well, please contact me and request the speaker you want to talk to, because each speaker has a different specific field that they work in. I like to work with young children and teenagers about having a disability as a youth. Catherine and Nathan have got different specialties that they work in.
So we all basically have talks tailored to different needs depending on what you want us to speak about. Despite it's fair to say my political views, please don't hesitate to come up to me. I won't bite you, I promise.
So, when you've got mental health issues, is that classed as a disability?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is?
Yes, it is. In my opinion, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it'll be interesting because when the NDIS comes out, it'll be very interesting because will they class mental health as a disability? I'm not sure. So.
I mean, I think personally it has to be, and I'm actually, as much as I hate to say it, I'm glad I experienced this now, but a few months ago, probably in about October. Like, life's great for me now, but I went through very, very, very severe depression, and I got to the stage where I was curled up in the lounge room for 12 hours a day, couldn't move. And I think, to be honest with you, in my experience, if that's not a disability, because it renders you unable to function,
Yeah.
I don't know what is.
Yeah, I've also been through depression and anxiety. I had to see a psychologist about 3 years, and I had to go through some spiritual self-defense training because often when I was younger, and I know this is going to sound very, very like sad and stuff, but I often got punched and kicked as a kid. The bullies would often punch and kick me. So my parents would say, okay, that's it, we're going to teach you self-defense, we're going to teach you some judo or karate to protect yourself. And that's what I've learned. But I also learned through the judo and the karate is to enjoy life. There's going to be ups and there's going to be downs. So try to think of the positives rather than negatives.
Yeah.
You know? Because at the end of the day, these people, they're not educated. If I saw something weird like that, I would probably be scared too. And that's their reaction of how they're going to treat you. But if we educate them, we can change their minds. And that's what happened to me. Because I was an outsider to my school, I became school captain of that school later on. Through education and through, you know, changing my image towards people.
Yeah, and I'd agree with you, because I mean I went through for a couple of psychology sessions, and one of the best things the psychologist said at the time was, and I think the quote was basically, if you don't doing anything wrong, or you don't feel that you're doing anything wrong, you just basically got to do what you want, and not what other people necessarily always believe is right for you.
Exactly. And we recommend as Speakers Bank, if you've got any sort of mental conditions or mental problems, please seek professional help. It's very, very important.
Yeah. Beyond Blue is always there. Anyway, I'm getting the wind up, so this has been the official launch of the Speakers Bank podcast. We hope you have absolutely enjoyed yourselves. And if you haven't, please see me. I'm not responsible if you haven't. And we hope to see you guys online. And please feel free to connect with us, chat and connect. We'll be around, and please come up to us afterwards if you have any questions. I promise I don't bite.
We don't bite.
Not especially after the last restraining order, sir.
Okay, guys.
All right.
Big round of applause.